Hello, Degens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I am, of course, the Brofict One, AJ. This is my co-host, Noah. Follow me on Twitter at Brofict One and Noah at N_Engelbretson. There we go. And of course, however you're listening, however you're watching YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast from, thank you for listening. And please do like, share, and subscribe. It does help us out more than you know. No, how you doing, man? We had a nice another full weekend of NFL preseason football. It was a good time. Just good football all around. A lot better than last week, I think. Just play all around. We did see a lot more starters and everything. Just overall reaction to the general preseason football.
It's still preseason, and I suppose every day that we go with preseason means we're one day closer to the actual action. So,
Yes, sir. We are so close at this
um,
point.
I don't know. There's a ceiling for like how much excitement I can possibly have for a preseason game.
No, yeah, absolutely.
But
A preseason game is like, it's the first date. Nothing's gonna happen, but you go on it. You have a good time, but you're just waiting to get to that third date when the action can actually get started. Um, so getting right into it, let's go
well,
into
you're
it.
more of a gentleman than I am, I guess.
You know, you do what you got to do. So going into it, it's talking about doing what you got to do. The Cardinals did not get it done against the Chiefs this game on Friday. Chiefs won 17-10. Kyler Murray was 1 for 4. He looked like shit. But he only had one drive, two drives maybe. You can't really judge anything. You can't get a good rhythm or anything. I still am high on this Cardinals defense. I told you on Thursday that they were gonna lose to the Chiefs. The Chiefs just have such a good depth chart and everything. They have so much talent everywhere. It's ridiculous. Patrick Mahomes didn't perform well, but he still put up great numbers and still looked like the MVP of the league, maybe. What are your thoughts on the Cardinals' inevitable loss to the Chiefs?
um, Interesting, because Mahomes did not put up a good stat line at all. What he played like quarter and a half, something like that.
Something like that. He played a lot longer than I
And
thought he was going to play. I thought he would have been a one and done,
yeah,
kind of
well,
like Kyler was.
right, right, yeah. So first off, I was surprised by that. But you look at his stat line: 10 for 18, 78 yards, and an interception, posting a 43.3 passer rating.
Yeah, but at the same
Now, I'm
time,
not
that
going to go out and say we need to be concerned about Mahomes, but they looked very unimpressive. I don't remember, was Cardinals' first unit defense out there against him for the most part?
yeah, for the most part,
I would
I
assume
believe so.
so.
Yeah, they played the starters for the
Well,
first couple
that's
drives. So
I guess that is something to be excited about if you're a Cardinals fan.
yeah, dude, that
Um,
defense. I told you, we're looking
small
fireworks.
sample size, but yeah, look good. And I will say the Chiefs look to be pretty deep at defense through 2 weeks
Oh
of
yeah,
preseason. They're looking pretty sharp and looking like they got some depth there on the defensive side of the ball, which is probably a good thing for them.
yeah,
Biggest
absolutely.
question is that offensive line.
Huge question mark there. And that was kind of the issue with the Super Bowl and everything. They just couldn't stop the blitz whatsoever. They couldn't even stop a four-man rush. So that was a big issue going into that game. And I think they tried to address that during this offseason. I believe they drafted a lineman first round, right?
Well, they've been out and got a couple guys via trades or free agency as well,
Hmm.
and really kind of reconstructed the whole thing. We might see a whole new starting five. They had a guy last year who they had an offensive lineman opt out last season as well, so he's back.
Good. That'll help. Kind of like we're seeing with the Patriots.
Um,
Those opt outs I think are going to be much more impactful than some thought, and they could really reshape some of these teams. I will say though, with everything we've been through with the Chiefs in the last couple of years, And seeing how they've been playing this preseason, my draft stock, like their stock for me is starting to fall. Like I understand it's preseason. We shouldn't read that much into it, but at the same time, I feel like they're just a team that's going to break our heart again. Think they might make it to the Super Bowl. They're a very strong team. They'll make it to the AFC Championship definitely, but I feel like they're just setting us up for heartbreak again. And I feel bad for these Kansas City fans. The Royals can't get a win to save their life, and now they got to watch this team just make it there and then lose.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they still definitely are and should be the AFC favorite,
Yeah,
but I do think that margin um, has narrowed a little bit from last year, especially from 2 years ago.
oh, definitely.
I look at teams like Baltimore, Tennessee, Buffalo, potentially even some teams like, the Patriots. If the Steelers can figure out their offense, I wouldn't count them out. The Browns are up and coming. So I think, you know, the margin that they are better than the rest of those teams has narrowed, and I think it'll be a closer race this year.
Definitely, it's going to. And talking about one of those teams you talked about next, the Buffalo Bills beat the Bears 41-15, I think, obviously. However, Buffalo Bills still an exciting team. Their first team is unbelievable. Josh Allen is a quarterback that I'm extremely high on. I think he is going to have a Hall of Fame career. He's going to be a great quarterback to watch develop these next upcoming. Um, with that being said, though, is we watched a quarterback that I've gotten to know very well for most of that game in Mitch Trubisky. Dude, what is going on? Like, Mitch Trubisky looked like an MVP quarterback out there. He looked like someone who could lead a team to a Super Bowl out there. And I think it just shows how incompetent.
Do you mean MVP?
Yes. Yes, the MVP, bro. The most important award
He did
in
win
sports
that.
history. He's the first and only MVP ever, so he can take that to his Hall of Fame career if he stays with the Bills, apparently. I think this just shows how incompetent of a play caller Matt Nagy is, because this is their second string quarterback. I don't give a shit if it's our first defense, second defense, third defense. What he did to the Bears defense was so embarrassing. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them whatsoever. Mitch Trubisky apparently is a good quarterback, like you've been telling me for all these years. Matt Nagy just can't call a play to save his effing life. Honest to God, off that game alone and how Mitch Trubisky played in that game, I think Matt Nagy should be fired tomorrow. That is embarrassing, dude. How is it that the quarterback that you picked over Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, right? Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen?
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
No, Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson, dude. Come on. So the quarterback you pick over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson walks into a brand new team, brand new system, and then just lights you up in the preseason. I understand it's the preseason. Don't look too much into it. But the fact that he had that kind of a performance, not under Matt Nagy in the first real outing, is unbelievable. 221 yards, 1 touchdown, and he was 20 for 28.
Yeah, I got a fun fact to hit you with that I saw.
What?
That was the highest quarterback rating that Trubisky has posted in any game in his career at Soldier Field.
At Soldier Field. Of course
Yes.
it was. Of course it was. You know why? Because the Bears are where quarterbacks go to die.
Still suck.
So, honest to God, right now, I'd like to take a moment of silence for Justin Fields' career.
Yeah, he almost died. Jeez,
Dude,
I'm sure
that
y'all seen that video where he just, oh man, his headband went popping off into the air too.
Dude, it was scary. It's scary, dude. Like, that's like a hit Joe Burrow took last year, and you're like, dude, how the hell do you stand up after that and get back under center? Like, this O-line,
Yeah,
like, what is... Like, I get it, second team.
I just remember like seeing that on like Twitter and everything. It's like, and Justin Fields is dead.
Hey, man, that was a rough hit. I mean, there was a flag and everything on the play, so... Yeah, but
Rightfully
dude,
so. I mean,
absolutely.
it was helmet to helmet.
Yeah, that was a helmet to helmet, easy call. But you still can't let a DN get free like that. Like that was ridiculous. He was just like, well, Mitch, let me come and see you right now. It was ridiculous, dude. Dude, all right, here's what I'm proposing, and then we'll get off the Bears and how awful they are. I say we scrub it right now. Like, let's get rid of the whole coaching staff right now, and let's start from scratch going into the season. They got 1 week; they can do something, and it'll be a hell of a lot better than what Menake and the boys are gonna put up.
Well, you may get your wish, 2/3 of the way through the season if the Bears are doing real bad, about week 12, 13 maybe. See him get fired, and
I can't believe I have to wait that long, though. That just
then you can focus
just
on
makes
who's
me
next.
sad. Something that
Yeah.
should make you sad, but it doesn't because they didn't play anybody worth noting. The Packers versus the Jets. Jets beat the Packers 23-14. I think the big takeaway from this game is Zach Wilson looked half decent. Like, don't get me wrong, he's playing against a bunch of backups and everything, but he looked comfortable in the pocket even when he had, it was collapsing a little bit. He was making throws he had to make too. His arm strength, dude. I know you were telling him about this, and I saw it when he was at BYU, but dude, he's got a cannon. He's got a cannon, and he is gonna just murder any team with those deep balls if any of those receivers get loose. Jets, it's preseason, but they make, I'm starting to get a little Jets, Jets. Let's go, go, go. So, any thoughts on this game? Obviously, you guys didn't really play anyone of note, like I said earlier. As a Packers fan, you're probably not concerned, but thoughts on Wilson?
Yeah, man, he's gonna be a stud. I've said it. Um, I don't know that he'll have the best career out of any quarterback drafted, but I
Yeah.
did feel that he was gonna have the best transition, the best rookie campaign, maybe the best first 3 years out of any of these quarterbacks in the first round of this draft. I have not changed my opinion on that, especially after watching him play 2 preseason games. I mean, the dude's he looks solid. He looks sharp. He's got that good football IQ. Knows what to do with the
Great
ball.
IQ.
He's not making any foolish mistakes, which is the biggest thing I think.
Yeah,
Now that could
and
change as we get through the season, and he's got tougher defensive schemes, and as teams get more film on him and the Jets and are able to game plan for that. But I think the Jets could come out and start the season stronger than people think. Combination of new coaching, new play calling, a lot, very new look player wise as well.
yeah, the
Just
personnel is
based
so
on the
different
fact
from last season. It's unbelievable what they did.
and based on the fact that there's going to be zero film on what the Jets are trying to do. I think they're going to come out week 1 and surprise the Panthers and punch them in the mouth and end up beating the Panthers week 1.
That would be awesome. Well, they got a rookie head coach right within Sala.
Robert Saleh.
Robert
Yeah.
Sala, yeah. I'm excited to see what he can do. So far, he's done well in the preseason. Zach Wilson did go 9 for 11 today, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, that ain't too bad for how long he played. Jets fans, be
Well, he
excited.
only played a quarter or two, or quarter and a half maybe, but that's
That's great.
good work for less than half of football.
Great. Can you imagine what he can do with a full, week of prep and then going into a game? I'm excited to see him week 1 against the Panthers. That'll be awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Speaking of the Panthers, newsflash, they still suck. They played the Ravens. They lost to the Ravens 20
What
to
my
3.
what did what did my boy Darnold go in this game?
What did Darnold go? Let me take a look at the stat line. I think no.
Oh, he only threw 2 passes.
Yeah, so which I mean,
Man, I was really hoping for like 2 for 12, like 3 interceptions.
no, not today.
Some good hearty Darnold numbers.
You're gonna have to wait till week 1 for that. I think the takeaway from
Probably.
this game, I think the big takeaway from this game though is questionable still with Lamar. I think hold on. Lamar's number 3, right? Not number 2. Number 2 is their backup on the Ravens.
What? Oh, well, Lamar Lamar wears 8.
8, not 3. I'm sorry. Um, regardless, if you're a Ravens fan and Lamar Jackson gets injured, you should be very concerned about your backup quarterback. He was not making any passes. Um, and it's the Panthers. Like, the Panthers are not a good team. Like, don't get me wrong, they still won. I believe it's Tyler Hunt. He went 24 for 34, 187 yards, and 1 interception. So, not a
Yeah,
terrible stat line, but
that's their third string though,
third string, I thought it was second. My
and
bad.
he no, that's their third string, and he played the entire game. So
Oh, my bad. My bad. That's bad
I
journalism
don't
on
think
my
that's
part.
I don't think that's a cause for
Yep,
any
never
worry.
mind. Scrap everything I just said. Panthers, on the other hand, I mean, your quarterbacks didn't do terrible. They just couldn't get into the end zone whatsoever. Will Greer went 11 and 14 and 144 yards. Philip Walker 1 for 8 yards, and your boy Sam Darnold 1 for 2. Good for him. Good for Sam. But yeah, he had to have.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see the same. I would call it a boring brand of football if it weren't for Lamar being as exciting as he is when he runs it. But we should just get the same old Ravens this year, just tough defense and just cram the ball down your throat with the run game.
Yeah, and I feel like at this point in the NFL, we have so many teams, like teams have established what they are. You know what I mean? Like the Bears, the Steelers, the Ravens will always have a rough defense to deal with. Like they're going to be a good tough like that's a tough day in the trenches for the boys. Um and you got a lot of these West Coast teams adapting the air raid style a little bit, the West Coast style, some would say. And so we're kind of establishing, I believe, these teams are. Not to say that head coaches won't come in and change up the culture and everything, but I mean, if you have a good defense as a head coach, why change that up? Do you just keep that rolling and then you can develop the offense as you go? Um, any other thoughts on the Ravens and Panthers kind of worthless game?
Uh, no, I didn't watch it personally. I mean, hey, Ravens setting or tying the NFL record
Yep,
for most consecutive preseason wins at 19.
good for them.
So we'll see if week 3 if they can go for 20. I think it's been like 5 years since they've lost a preseason game.
That's insane, dude.
So I guess
And they did
that's
it with third stringers to them. Good for them.
slight that's like
Yeah.
slightly exciting. I mean, it's a pretty, at the end of the day, meaningless stat, meaningless record to have, but whatever.
Yeah, and they play the
It's something.
football team next Saturday, so who knows? Maybe the football team will just lie down and give it to them. Be a part of history on the wrong side though. But who knows? Another team that's been on the wrong side of history a long time. The Detroit Lions against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Detroit Lions lose 20-28. I mean, yeah. I mean, Lions were obviously going to lose. What's his face? Your boy Goff didn't start, so nothing really there. David Blau went 12 for 17, 143 yards and a tutty. Mason Rudolph, 13 for 18, 138 yards. Ben Roethlisberger showing up, 8 for 10, 137 yards, 2 tutties. New Ben Roethlisberger. I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he's got one more strong run in him before Dwayne Haskins takes over the reins next season. I honest to God think he just came back this season because Mike Tomlin was like, dude, we don't know what we're going to do at quarterback. We have no idea what we're going to do at quarterback. Can you just come back for one season? Let us develop Dwayne. Let us develop Mason. I think Ben will still lead them to a winning season. I just don't know how far they can go, but I just believe it's to kind of set them up for success in the future at this point.
Yeah. As I dubbed it at a couple weeks ago, he's got medium large Ben.
Yes, he is.
He's no longer Big Ben. But
You need to
like you
put that
said,
on your
I
shirt.
fully expect they'll have a winning season. I know Mike Tomlin hasn't, the worst season he's had has been 8-8 since he took over as head coach. That's been over a decade. So I don't see that changing.
No.
I think they're going to have a really tough defense again this year.
Oh yeah, that.
And if Big Ben can be a little bit better, and I think Najee Harris will probably end up being a little bit of an upgrade over James Conner. I don't know. This team did start 11-0 last year. I'm not saying they're going to do that again, but they might, you know, they might be real tough. They might be a team to mess with.
Yeah, they might be. I'm, slowly getting more and more excited, and I don't know if it's because I've seen them win more games now, or if it's just because, it's preseason football and there's nothing else to do but overreact. But if Big Ben is half as good as he looks right now, they're going to a winning season. I'm not saying they're winning their division or anything like that, but they're going to do half decent, maybe a wild card or something like that at this point. The Lions, on the other hand, I mean, they didn't really start anyone, so you really can't get into that. But, eh, you know, they're the Lions, dude. It
That's
kind of
one
sucks
team
that they're
that
gonna
just
suck again.
that's one team that I just kind of laugh at for, they're like, oh, we're not going to start any of our starters all preseason. I'm like, okay,
Okay.
whatever you
See how
say,
that goes.
shitbags.
Man,
It's
that's
not going
gonna
to make a
be.
difference.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of understand it because they obviously have no one else at quarterback that can step in if Goff gets hurt. So I kind of understand holding him back. But at the same time, it's kind of the same thing with the Cardinals and even the Rams and stuff. Like, they start their starters, they're not that deep. They're deep enough, but not that deep to where they lose a star player. It's going to be very noticeable. So I kind of understand it, but also at the same time, new system, new quarterback, you got to get adjusted in real time. And I think that's what they should be doing. We'll see if this pays off. Dan Campbell, I mean, the guy's a monster. He knows what he's doing, I think.
Maybe we'll find out.
We will. But,
I think they're
yeah.
I think they're going to be solidly on their highway to 3 wins, but they can do that however the hell they please. I do not care.
Yeah. Sorry, Detroit fans. That's rough.
Start your starters. Don't start your starters. It's not going to make a difference. They're still going to struggle to win games.
Dude, it's gotta be a bummer to be a charge like a Detroit sports fan in general. You know what I mean? Like, Lions suck. Pistons are decent sometimes. The Lions are whatever. I'm sorry,
well,
the Tigers are.
So all of their teams are terrible right now, but like I mean, like the Red Wings through the 80s and 90s,
They were
the
great.
Pistons in the 90s.
I'm just talking about it right now.
So like,
because
they don't get any sympathy when your city takes home like championships on championships on championships for like 2 decades straight. It doesn't matter. You got to go like 50 years before you get any sympathy.
Okay, so how about us Arizona sports fans out here? You feel any sympathy for us? We haven't won anything since D-backs in 2001.
Yeah, well, one championship doesn't do it. I'm saying when you go a like 10 or 15 year period and you're taking home like 8, 9, 10 plus championships across all the major sports, you got to go like 40, 50 years before you're getting any sympathy, any reason to complain.
Okay,
like I get Detroit's teams are really shitty now, but that's just how the universe works,
Yeah.
Unless you're Boston, and then you just keep winning no matter what.
Well, maybe not. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Patriots, as we talked about, that's a team to be excited about. They're not looking half bad, but a disciple of the Patriots, my boy, TB12, Tom Brady. He's the man. Simple as that, dude. And this team, honest to God, is going to. I'm going to declare it right now. My hot take of the season. Not only will they win the Super Bowl this year, they're going to go undefeated. They're going to do it. They're doing it. They're winning everything. Everything. The more I looked at stat lines this weekend, the more I looked at some tape and everything, I really don't see them losing whatsoever. They're a great football team, and they're going to win. They're going to win everything. Simple as that.
Now you're wrong, and I'll tell you why you're wrong in that.
Let me hear it.
Because
you're wrong.
You can use these 2 preseason games as evidence with how terrible they've looked on both sides of the ball. Clearly, they sold out on their starting 11 on each side of the ball.
Yeah.
And they have no fucking depth whatsoever on this team. If they have a couple key injuries, that's going to be very noticeable. It's not going to make them a bad team to have a couple key injuries, but it's going to be very noticeable.
But I think
And
no, even
they're
even
not
with
good. They're not
a
good enough to. They're not good enough to win every game.
yeah, they are. They're we talked about it earlier in this month. Their schedule is weak. It's a weak schedule. It's a cakewalk to 17-0, and it's a
So
cakewalk, honest to
some
God, too.
somebody's defense will frustrate them. The Saints absolutely destroyed them twice last year.
Yeah, but that was a different team. That was before all of these salary cap issues, and they had to figure that out. And that was when they actually had a quarterback who could score points. And that was early in the season before his arm turned to
30,
absolute jello at the end of the season.
37-3. You don't really need to score too many points when you hold the team to 3.
Yeah, but again, different preseason. They didn't have time to get together. It was a COVID season. So, yeah, they used the first couple games to like get in the groove and everything. Like they said going into the playoffs.
That was
They aren't
later
even
in the
playing
season.
their
That was when they played. That was when they played in the second half of the season. It was like 37-3, something like that.
I
And
thought
Drew
that
Brees
game was
couldn't even throw the
closer.
ball more than 10 yards.
That game was closer, I thought.
No, and the only reason the Bucks got 3 is because they scored a garbage time field goal at the end of the game.
That rings a bell, but I ain't worried. I ain't worried whatsoever. I really do think the Buccaneers are going to go 17-0 this season. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. And I think, honest to God, like you say, this is preseason. This is nothing to worry about. These are a bunch of guys that are just trying to get jobs and stuff at this point. You know, they're trying to get tape. They're trying to get tape so other teams can sign them to their practice squad or even to be a secondary or a third string player. I'm really not concerned whatsoever. If anything, this gives me hope. I mean, yeah, let's lose every preseason game and then boom, we're ready to rock and roll week 1 with a big win, a big statement win over the Dallas Cowboys. That's what I'm saying.
I'd be willing to bet they don't even make it. I bet they don't go 5-0 in their first 5 games.
5-0? Ooh.
I would bet that they don't go.
Well, they're gonna go 5-0.
5-0 in their first 5 games. I think the Rams, the Patriots, or the Dolphins, even potentially the Cowboys. I mean, I'm not going to get too excited about the Cowboys,
You
but
can't. Cowboys suck. Cowboys suck.
Falcons, they should beat the Falcons and the Cowboys, but that stretch of the Rams, Patriots, and Dolphins, I feel like they're going to drop one of those early on.
I don't know, man. We'll see, obviously. I mean, that's why we play the games, but I don't know, man. It's interesting. We'll think about that bet. We'll talk about that a little bit later because that intrigues me. But I mean, I guess we should actually talk about the game. But yeah, like you said, the Buccaneers, second team and third team look terrible. They're not a really good
both sides of the ball.
Both sides of the ball. They don't look like the world champions we saw not 6 months ago. Titans, on the other hand, obviously they won, so they had a good game. They did not have Ryan Tannehill start. Matt Barkley went 12 for 16, 115 yards, 2 tutties. Logan Woodside, 7 and 8, 64 yards with 1 tutty. They looked good. I mean, for as good as they can look at against second and third string guys. Titans definitely contenders this year. Very excited to see what that first team can do coming week 1. Derrick Henry's always fun to watch, but Ryan Tannehill, I think, is a quarterback that has the opportunity right now, especially with this team they've built around him, to really explode and be that quarterback that I think we all want him to be and expect him to be. And I think now is his time to show up and show out. And honest to God, this might be his last chance before he's riding the bench, second string, third string, or out of the NFL,
I don't know. I don't think they expect him to do too much. I think everybody's expecting the Titans to like have a different look and throw the ball more this season. But like, the old saying, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, why the fuck would you just try to? I mean, I know they added Julio, but like, why try to throw the ball more if you don't have to? Like, if you can still just beat people down like they did all of last season by just cramming it down their throat with Derrick Henry, like, why? I know you got like a shiny new toy, or I guess I shouldn't call it shiny new. You got
a very
nice used toy
car for a good deal.
Right. but like just because you have it doesn't mean you got to use it. If your best option is still handing the ball off to Derrick Henry all the time, you might as well just keep handing it off to Derrick Henry and see why you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the last time I was at a casino, Black 18 was hitting, so obviously I just kept betting blacks and kept betting evens, and you kind of go down that rabbit hole until you lose all that money that you won on that number. So then you keep it moving, you go to the next table, and we'll see what this Titans team can do. I do think they're still, Ryan Tannehill, I do think will be good for their offense. They're in the rebuilding still, but still an exciting team to watch. A team, well, two teams actually, not exciting to watch whatsoever. Texans, Cowboys, Battle of Texas. Texans won 20-14. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I turned on the highlights for this game and I fell asleep halfway through. They were like, it was a snooze fest. It was half decent football, but no one started. It wasn't really worth watching because, let's be real, the Cowboys, they're petrified, I think, for Dak to start week 1 at this point. He's still dealing with his arm issue. What are they saying it now? It's like a pulled lat or whatever. Still more of a baseball injury. Interesting how he got it. But, man, I think it's going to be the same old boys, high offense, shitty defense, and I think that this is evident right now. And let's be real. If Dak Prescott gets hurt again, you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot have Ben DiNucci starting under center for the rest of the season, dude. That is rough. That is rough. Any thoughts on this game whatsoever, or how bad both of these teams are going to be going into the season? Because the Texans, even though they won, they're still a dumpster fire.
2-0 in preseason.
2-0.
Man, I don't even. I look at the scores and kind of what the Texans are doing, trying to figure out what their starting lineup's going to look like. I don't even think they know what their starting lineup is.
They have no clue.
They just have all these kind of useless players that they're like, oh, well, got to put together a team somehow.
Yeah, and again,
which I mean, I do not envy whoever's in that position trying to figure that out. But
no.
Yeah, Cowboys. I mean, my guess is they cut it down to probably 3 quarterbacks by the start of the season, and they got to cut it down to 53. I mean, I can't imagine any scenario where it's not DiNucci on the chopping block.
It has to be. I mean, at this point,
he's just looked terrible time and time again. And both Garrett Gilbert and Cooper Rush actually are looking decent so far.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper Rush, 10 for 12, 97 yards, 2 tutties, and Garrett Gilbert, 3 for 5, 30 yards. I think it's obvious who you cut when you cut it to when the next cut.
Yeah, what DiNucci have what do you have, 3 picks?
So that's not too bad, but it was for 120 yards with 3 interceptions. That is a rough stat line. You can't. I understand it's preseason, but you can't throw 3 picks. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But look for the Bears to sign him next season to come start for us. God. Dude.
Bears signed Ben DiNucci. Bears trade Nick Foles for Ben DiNucci.
The sad thing is,
for Ben DiNucci and two Chicago dogs.
Dude, there's such a bad run organization. It's terrible. I'm so over them. God, rough. A team though that doesn't look rough and actually might be back to full strength coming week 1. We got the Indianapolis Colts with our favorite team, Noah, the Minnesota Vikings. The Colts win 12-10. Big news coming out of this game really is Carson Wentz is looking good. He is going to go back to practice tomorrow. Limited, but looking promising going into the week 1. But even if he's not there, I mean, Jacob Eason didn't look too bad. 16-27, 132 yards. They got the job done. I mean, Noah, any thoughts on this game besides how Vikings are going to be?
I was gonna say I beg to differ. They better hope they get Wentz back because I think, God, I mean, both Eason and Ellinger just do not look NFL ready,
No, not like
and and that's gonna hurt them. I mean, they might, if anything pushes Wentz back, if he's not back till week 4 or 5, they might drop some games they would have otherwise won. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Wentz to
yeah.
begin with, but he's definitely a better option than Eason, who's in his second year, and Ellinger, who's a rookie. Like I said, both of them, I don't want to say they look bad, they just don't look NFL ready. Like they need the
Anytime.
edges to be sharpened and
Yeah.
need to get used to the game
Yeah, absolutely.
at NFL speeds.
I agree, but if I was a Colts fan, I would be optimistic about Jacob Eason. I think Jacob Eason is the better choice if Carson Wentz is unable to start week 1. But we'll see. I do hope that he does start because I am still very excited about this Colts team. They got a good offense, a good defense coming back. They signed Ty this offseason to a lot of money, a big deal. So I really hope that this team can turn it around. The Vikings, dude, they're not going to turn shit around. Let me tell you that right now, dude. They're looking bad. They're looking as bad as ever. Like we like to say, their favorite color is purple because they're great at choking. So we have Kirk Cousins going 5-7 for 23 yards. Kellen Mond, six
Mond.
and Mond. Kellen Mond 6-12
Yeah.
for 61 yards. Jake Browning 6-15 for 82 yards. God, those quarterbacks are awful. You know, just kind of a disappointing outing for them. Disappointing team all around, though. I think they're going to finish second to the bottom of the division, like we talked about, unless the Lions can somehow pull out some extra victories against them and the Bears. Any thoughts on this game besides the Colts need Wentz back and Kirk Cousins can't play football anymore?
Well, Kirk wasn't playing any of the game, but
He did play. I just read his
did he
stat
play?
line. Yeah, I just read his stat line. He was in for like a drive or two.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Yeah, no, it's funny. The Vikings have now, through 2 preseason games, they have more defensive touchdowns than their offense has put up.
Hey!
They have their offense has put up a total of 3 field goals, and their defense has a pick 6.
There you go.
So,
hey, you got to score points to win games. It doesn't matter where they come from. You just got to score them, you know?
yeah, but I would be, you know, if I were a Vikings fan, I'd be scared of the, not being able to produce a touchdown drive on offense in 2 whole preseason games.
Yeah, that is a little rough. Yeah. So maybe week
So
one.
it's a little bit of a red flag going into the season.
Yeah, maybe week 1 then we take a alternate line or prop bet, something like
No, I mean they're playing the Bengals week 1.
Oh,
They're like
fine.
when they have their starting units in there, I think the Vikings should be able to take care of business against the Bengals.
Yeah, they can score a touchdown. Good for them. uh, dude, they're gonna be bad. I can't wait to watch them suck. And that always makes me happy, especially because the Bears suck too.
Yeah, I think
Vikings just suck a little bit more.
Dalvin Cook will have another great season.
Oh yeah,
but
Dalvin Cook's a stud no matter where he goes.
Other than that, I mean, Kirk will put up middle of the line numbers. They literally only have 2 receivers, so I think Jefferson and Thielen will both have pretty big seasons, just because their target share is going to be huge. But I mean, that offensive line is some cause of concern. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't know. Their defense is a big question mark. Should be a bit better than last year, especially. I don't think Mike Zimmer is going to allow them to have a bad defense 2 years in a row.
No, not at all. He can't.
So I still think they're like a 7 to 9 win team. I don't think this is like too much cause for concern because most of their starters haven't been playing very much. But
yeah, they'll still do.
Would
better
make me
than the Lions,
would make me a little nervous.
What?
Would make me a little nervous to like not being able to score even a single fucking touchdown in 2 whole games.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, that's a rough one, and I mean, yeah, that's going to be tough to watch, especially if that record continues into the regular season. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is the Bengals, but who knows? Again, favorite color is purple. They love to choke, so that could be another situation. Um, a team that I do think is going to choke harder than than the Vikings this year, though. The Los Angeles Rams lost to the Las Vegas Raiders, 17-16. Close game, good game. Don't get me wrong, no one of importance started or anything. Kind of a throwaway game, just some guys to get some tape and hopefully secure a job. But yeah, any notes on this game, Noah? I didn't really have anything on this. I mean, the Rams. If anyone gets injured, kind of like the Buccaneers, I think you're SOL.
Yeah, the most electric quarterback to ever play the game, played the entire game for the Raiders, baby. And I'm talking about Nathan motherfucking Peterman. And if you don't know about Nathan Peterman, I don't know how you don't. I don't know how this guy's still in the league. It amazes me.
Tell me about him.
I think he
tell me
has
about him, Noah.
I think he's like the worst in like so many like categories for like that you have to play like a certain amount of games to qualify for. Like, let me pull up his career stats
Please
here
do,
just
because
for reference.
not only is he the worst, but he had to play a certain number of games in order to qualify for that. So that means he's been in the league for a while. Honest to God, this is the first time I've heard of this guy, the first time I've seen this name. But he went 16 for 24, 172 yards, 1 tutty, and 2 interceptions. I mean, yeah, that is
Okay,
pretty
so
mediocre.
his
But how do you do? Tell
he
me about him.
he has appeared in looks like 9 games in his career.
Okay.
He has a 52.5% completion percentage,
Okay.
573 yards, averaging 4.2 per attempt, and three touchdowns in his career, and a beautiful 12 interceptions to go along with those 3 touchdowns. I think what I remember him most for is I'm pretty sure he threw a 5 interception game. He might be the only, like one of the only quarterbacks to do that
Shut
or
up.
something.
There's no way. Come on, dude.
Um,
There is no way
I
a
gotta figure this
professional
out.
quarterback in the NFL threw 5 interceptions. I do not believe that for 1 second.
Oh, he holds the record for most interceptions thrown with fewer than 100 career passing attempts.
Dude, this poor kid. Oh man, how is he in the league still? That's a rough stat line to get past.
That's what I wondered, but I guess he's the like third string for Vegas, and he played the entire game. And
You don't really have anyone else.
as can be expected, we saw interceptions.
Yeah.
At least he's consistent. You know what you're gonna get when you got Nathan Peterman.
Well, Raiders fans, let's hope no one gets injured because that'd be rough. If you get down to the third stringer, you're gonna have a rough season. Yeah, nothing really else on this game. I think the Rams still are overhyped, and that's going to be proven this season. Another team that's usually overhyped in the NFC West, the Seattle Seahawks. They got blown out by the Denver Broncos, 30-33. Honest to God, shout out to them really quick though for not going over 34.5. That was a nice little payout. So thanks, boys, for scoring 33 points. From what I watched this game, Drew Lock was unimpressive. Teddy Two Gloves was not too bad. Kind of the same guy.
He had a good game, didn't he?
9 for 11, 105 yards, 1 tutty. I mean, that's a pretty solid game for how much he played.
Yeah,
Drew Lock.
I mean, that's a baller quarter right there for Teddy.
You still think he should start?
Yes, I never thought he shouldn't. I think it's the obvious decision. I don't know how you can start Drew Lock. It seems like Teddy is now getting those first team reps more than Drew Lock is. I think Denver's finally, I don't know what took them so goddamn long, but they're finally like coming to the conclusion that Teddy's the better quarterback. Um, yeah, I don't know. And Drew Lock, terrible. Not as bad as Nathan Peterman, who, by the way,
Ooh.
I found it through his first NFL start threw 5 interceptions in the first half.
That's a
Welcome.
rough
Talk
start.
about welcome to the NFL.
Welcome,
Yeah.
bud. 5 intercept. Dude,
Um,
that's terrible. So wait,
but
wait, wait, wait,
anyways,
wait.
I
Time
mean,
out really quick. Before we go back to the Broncos Seahawks. So you're telling me his first start in the NFL, he set the record for most interceptions thrown in a game.
no, he does not have. No, it's the most in a half.
Most in a half. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Still,
apparently.
rough stat line to get past, but I mean, he's still in the NFL, so he must kind of know what he's doing, I guess. But, oof.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess the
Well, I mean,
Raiders see enough
Drew Lock.
value in having him somewhere.
Yeah, I
But yeah,
mean,
Drew
Drew Lock's
Lock's
been a
terrible.
starter, so I mean, I guess anything's
Yeah,
possible.
Drew
But
Lock started like
two
Drew
seasons.
Lock started like half the season for Denver, maybe more.
Well,
He
yeah.
had
Who got
had
injured last year? Someone got injured, right?
nobody really. They just Denver's been struggling ever since Peyton Manning left. It's one guy after another, and they all just keep failing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean,
And so they
I
just keep
still think,
cycling through these young quarterbacks.
yeah, I still think my option is on the block. Elway, give my boy Tebow a call. Let's bring him home. Let's have him take you boys on a nice little playoff run, and we'll go from there. But if not Tebow, I do agree with you. Teddy Bridgewater is obviously going to be the starter. Seahawks quarterbacks were less than impressive. Sean Mannion, 13 for 23, 118 yards. Alex Miko, 9 and 13, 91 yards, 2 interceptions. So y'all better pray that for how much Russell Wilson gets sacked in a given season that he does not get injured because y'all screwed. Like if the Seahawks,
I mean, again, I think that's their third and fourth string. I don't
I thought it was second, third.
know. I'm pretty sure they have
Yeah,
like
the fourth.
Geno Smith or somebody as their backup.
Okay, I'll believe you
So
on
I'm
that. You haven't
I'm,
steered
I'm,
me
I'm
wrong.
almost positive that that's their
Okay.
third and fourth string.
Nah. Well, poor Alex. He's
So
gonna lose his job with 2 interceptions. But hey,
yeah, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles, man.
yeah, sometimes. But good for the Broncos, 2-0 in the preseason. Probably the most games they'll win if they
Two
don't start.
blowouts.
Yeah, 2 blowouts. So I
Preseason
mean,
preseason warriors over here. I mean,
who do they
shit, well, they
play?
beat the Vikings like 33-6, and then now
Yeah,
30-3 against the Seahawks. That's
yeah.
point differential right there, if I've ever seen it.
So you're telling me week one we're betting the over on Vikings points scored?
What?
Never mind. We'll talk about it week one. Where are we
Ain't
going?
taking shit on the Vikings, man.
Dude, I don't know. This offense looking explosive in the first 2 preseason games, man. They're over under on touchdowns in game one might be like 2. You slam the over, they'll get 3, 4, call it good, and then you never touch it again because at that point Vegas will be like 3, 4, 5. And you're like, there's no way in hell these guys are scoring that many points, but who knows? We'll see
Alrighty.
week one. Um, yes. Browns, Giants coming up next. They also didn't really start anyone of note except for the Browns, starting my boy Case Keenum. I honestly just love the guy. Hope he has a good career eventually at some point, but it's not looking like it. He went 9 for 12, 74 yards, 1 tutty, 1 interception, but that was still enough to lead the Browns to a 17-13 victory. Noah, any notes on Giants or the Browns whatsoever on this game?
Not really. Mike Glennon played.
Yeah,
The good good old Mister, 3-year, $40 million or whatever the hell the Bears tried to pay him. Not tried to, but did pay him.
Did pay him, Noah. Again.
God,
God, dude.
he is, yeah, man, he is just such a beauty of a human being. Mike Glennon. He just looks painfully awkward. I don't know.
Elite. That's what the Bears paid him like. That's what he was. He was elite at some point, Noah. Don't you forget it.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mike Glennon, he looks like the weird kid's dad. Like, when you're in school, it's like the weird kid, and then Mike Glennon looks like what I'd imagine that the weird kid's dad looks like. Yet somehow he's an NFL quarterback.
This makes sense. This makes sense. Yeah. Jeez, I mean, nothing wrong with that, of course.
I mean,
but
tell me he does not look like the weird kid's dad.
He does look awkward in his own body, and that's kind of rough as a professional athlete, where you make your paycheck off of what your body can do. But poor kid. But still, he went 10 for 13, 86 yards, 0 interceptions, so not a bad outing for him. He had a good time. Brian Lewerke, however, went 5 for 8, 47 yards, 1 tutty. Again, the Browns are going to be contenders when we get into the season. The Giants will do a little bit better than they did last season, but nothing really else, in my opinion, of note.
The Giants will, they'll play 17 games most likely.
They will, in fact, play 17 games, Noah. That's a hot take right now. Let's get that out to Shefty, right? Noah reporting.
That's all I got on the Giants. They will most likely play 17 games. Can't guarantee it, but
I'd bet
some money on that.
If there is any book that will put that out there, we'll take that. We'll take that. Anyway, from teams that we are not excited about to a team that I am through the roof about, the Los Angeles Chargers played the San Francisco 49ers. They did lose 10-15. However, no one of note really started on the Chargers, considering we had Chase Daniels play most of the game. So, yeah, that's fun. You ever watch Chase Daniels?
Yeah, that's another old Bears quarterback.
Yes, Noah, it is. God,
Isn't it so funny how... It's so funny. Preseason just goes and reminds you how many former Bears quarterbacks are just backups and third strings elsewhere.
And then they show up. Or they're like Chase Daniels and they just put on a piss show. He went 14 for 21, 60 yards, 1 interception. And then Easton Stick, he looked like a stud tonight, 10 for 14, 85 yards, 1 tutty. Dude, the Bears cannot do anything with quarterbacks. It's like, this is just a constant kick in the nuts. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I want for Christmas? No, you know what I want for my birthday? You know what I want for my birthday and Christmas the next 20 years? I want the Bears to take 5 minutes and figure out how the hell to use a quarterback in the modern day NFL. Because whatever the hell they're doing right now isn't working. And it's not gonna work. Anyway, if I was a Chargers fan...
I've told you before, man, it's in the NFL rulebook that the Bears are not allowed to have a good quarterback.
Yes, and I am tired of that rule, Noah. Tired of it. Kind of like how the refs in the NFL seem like
I don't know what you want.
The taunting rule, though. They seem to calm down on that a bit this week.
Yeah. Anyways, with this San Francisco LA game.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway, Trey Lance, he again had a couple really nice passes.
Yep.
But overall, if you take away those couple nice passes, just like in week 1, he looked underwhelming for 70% of the snaps that he took, to me.
Yeah.
And I can't say I'm surprised. What did I say? It's going to be the same thing as Wentz, saying I mean, other positions, I don't really care. It doesn't matter. Guys can make it. But at quarterback, if they ain't FBS, don't F with them.
I mean, at this point...
Especially Trey Lance. I mean, he played what, like 8 games in college because of combination of COVID and like other things.
Yeah.
And I get he's supposed to be like super talented and all that, and he's shown some good flashes, but using the third overall pick on a guy you've got such a small body of work and such a small sample size, I thought that was just foolish.
Yeah,
And
no.
maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I mean, out of those 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round, I think he's gonna be the worst.
Yeah, he
I think he's gonna fizzle out, and he's just gonna be a forgotten name 5 years
him
down the road.
him and Justin Fields have the lowest ceiling for their rookie season if they start any games this year whatsoever. Um, 49ers
I would
fans
say
would be,
Fields has a.
huh?
I would say Fields is. I have more hope for Fields than I do for Mac Jones.
Nah. Nah, I got way more hope for Mac Jones if he starts over if Justin Fields starts. I
I don't
mean,
know. Maybe we'll see.
yeah, we will obviously. Justin Fields is obviously a little bit more athletic. But anyway, getting back to the 49ers and the Chargers. I know on the 49ers side, there's been talk and there has been called to have Trey Lance start this season over Jimmy G. It does seem like Kyle Shanahan is kind of over Jimmy G. Um, with that being said, though, that would be foolish. I think Jimmy G is the obvious option here. Trey Lance needs to sit behind a guy who knows what he's doing somewhat and learn this system and learn how to be an NFL quarterback because he barely knows how to be a quarterback whatsoever. He's never had to deal with the media, he's never had to deal with that hard of a workload. I mean, there at some point there is a difference between being a starting quarterback and a backup, and I think he had a good 8 games and everything, but I think those weaknesses and his unpreparedness, not unpreparedness, but just the lack of experience in games like that will really show through if they end up starting him this season whatsoever.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. I mean, obviously, my problem with a quarterback from FCS like Trey Lance is, I mean, I don't have the games that he's played in front of me, but I imagine, he hasn't probably played any even Power Five school. He might not even have played a single game against any FBS schools to begin with. So, like, you take that jump from like not even playing an FBS defense to playing NFL defenses. That's a major adjustment.
Yeah, that's a
And
tough transition, and it's already a hard enough transition from college to the NFL. But not having that starting experience going in as well, it has to be even more difficult, especially when everyone's expecting so much from you as like your first season. That's got to be poor kid. That'd be a
yeah,
rough
and
start.
I'm not a fan of Jimmy G, but I think you got to start Jimmy
Gotta
G
gotta start
over
Jimmy
Trey
G.
Lance.
That's the only option at this point, in my opinion. I do think you want to throw Trey Lance in some packages and stuff. I think he's athletic enough, and I think he's experienced enough to do something like that. But outside of asking him to do something like that, I really don't see him a need or a reason to start him at all this season.
No, well, unless they're off to a terrible start,
Yeah,
then it's change of scenery type of thing. Or if Jimmy G gets injured, then I mean he's definitely their second best option.
yeah, absolutely, definitely, still the second best option. Um, from a team with options to a team without options, we have the Jaguars and the Saints tomorrow night. Monday Night Football, a little taste. We love to see it. I'll take as much football as I can get. Saints open up as a 4-point favorite. Over under is 39.5 points. Money line Saints minus 210, Jaguars plus 180. I mean, this is really going to be Jameis Winston's final chance to show up and show out, or else I think uh, Taysom Hill's going to start. And I really don't want to see
No, no,
Taysom
no,
Hill
no, no, no,
start.
no, no, no. That won't happen. Jameis doesn't need to do shit other than be less bad than Taysom Hill.
I agree, But
and Ian Book. Dude, in their first preseason game, I mean, all three looked bad, but Jameis looked the least bad. you know.
yeah,
So and he's already in pole position coming into that game. He's still in pole position. So unless he has a terrible game and Taysom Hill somehow figures out how to play quarterback, then I don't think there's a way Jameis loses a job unless like that happens.
yeah, but I will say we have seen flashes of Taysom Hill being great and everything, and being a decent quarterback. And all he needs to do is string that together a little bit, and then that's enough ammunition for Sean Payton to be like, "This is how much money we're paying the guy. Yeah, we're gonna fucking start him this week, and see where he goes from there." He just needs one good game out of him, to rationalize that to the media and everything, and be like, yeah, this is our guy. This was the plan the whole time. And then we'll see Jameis Winston like week 3 or week 4. But honest to
I
God,
mean,
my
we
pick
we
for the
saw
game.
Taysom Hill start 3 games last year, and
Yeah,
he had like no 4 games. I think he had like 8 turnovers in 4 games. It was not pretty.
no, it wasn't
Like
pretty by any
six
means.
and
But
like six of those were fumbles, and he clearly showed all he can do is run the ball. He can't throw.
so,
I mean, he can
well,
throw, but he
hold on,
can't routinely deliver passes where they need to be.
Well, hold on a second. The defense was also, I'm sorry, the offense was also totally catered to Drew Brees, who's a pocket quarterback. He's not mobile whatsoever. So giving Sean Payton this offseason, because Jameis Winston is also a mobile quarterback, and being able to
Mm,
draw up plays and everything, I think that'll give Taysom Hill a
bro,
better
Jameis
opportunity.
is slow.
He's slow, but he can still roll out of the pocket better than Brees could at the end of his career. Anyway, my pick for the game. Give me Jaguars. Give me the money line. I'll take the plus 170. That's the live line at Caesar Sportsbook right now. No, any picks for this game?
And I like the Saints to win this. I think they almost beat Baltimore in Week 1. Only lost that by 3 points or so, despite turning the ball over 6 times. I don't. I think they get rid of those turnovers. I don't think they turn the ball over more than twice this game, and I think they'll win it.
Well, we will.
I think Jacksonville's going to be on the struggle bus.
Yeah, they will be on the struggle bus for the long haul, but it's preseason. I think they'll pull it out of their ass somehow. Uh, But yeah, with that being said, we have one more week of preseason after this. We have college football next weekend, and then we are fully back, dude. I don't know about you, but I couldn't be more excited for the next coming weeks. With, of course, sports betting being legal in Arizona coming September the 9th. Um, Shout out. That's going to be awesome. I'm so excited for that and what this season's going to bring. Noah, any other notes on this week of preseason football?
Yeah, I mean, like we said on our last episode, I think I was talking about those like 5 or 6 point spreads.
Yeah,
I think how do we do on those? I think
we did
almost
really
all of
good
them,
on
if not
those.
all of them, covered. Let's see, Giants covered today. Rams covered that. I'm trying to remember what the rest of them were.
Let me pull them up.
The Bengals were one of them.
Yep.
They covered. Either way, most if not all of those covered. Like I said, if you're seeing 5.5 points or more on the spread, just go ahead and bet the underdog. They're not going to win every time, but they seem to be covering most of them in preseason. Like I said, preseason seems to be pretty unpredictable a lot of the time. So not a ton of blowouts again this week, mostly close games. Take those big point underdogs to cover.
Yeah, take the dogs to cover. We love to hear it. We love it when underdogs win. I do at least, because that means we're making money. Anyway, we will see if that hits tomorrow. We will see if the Jaguars can pull it out tomorrow. And then we will be back on Tuesday with more Degenerate Takes.